Mr. Pringle?
Present.
Mr. Mackey?
Present.
Deputy Warden Barfoot?
Present.
Mr. Burley? Mr. McQueen? Warden Halliday sends his regrets. Ms. Patterson?
Present.
Mr. Hicks?
Here.
Ms. Clumpus? Counselor Greenfield sends his regrets. Mr. Body? Ms. Wright? Here. Ms. Fosbrook?
Here.
Mr. Woodbury? Here. Mr. McKean?
Present.
Ms. Ardell?
In attendance.
Mr. Eccles?
Counted for.
Mr. Bell?
A few missing. I guess the weather's too nice to attend, so they had other functions maybe. Any declaration of pecuniary interest from anyone? Seeing none, then we go to the adoption of the minutes. Can I have a mover for the County Council and Committee of the Whole minutes dated May 24th? Moved by Councillor Wright, second by Councillor Burley. Any further discussion on the County Council and Committee of the Whole minutes from 24th? Councillor Fosbrook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. When we met in closed session, are we supposed to report out the results of that in these minutes? Like direction to staff or something like that?
We'll report out when we have a final answer on the discussions that occurred in closed session. So we do report out, just to note that and maybe it wasn't captured in there, that what we spoke about was what we spoke about in closed session. And then if there's further discussions that come up for an open session, once anything's been completed, then that's what we'll do.
Okay, so just to clarify, we did give direction to staff. And should that not appear as part of the report out at this portion of, in these minutes, when we came back out into open session, what we did was give direction to staff. Should that be reported out in these minutes?
No, direction to staff can be completed in closed session, and we will report out on that direction when we hear the results of that direction.
Okay, well, differences at different tiers, so thank you for that.
Any further discussion then on the County Council and Committee of the Whole minutes? I'm assuming we're doing these as three different motions. Heather?
So we'll do the council and committee of the whole open minutes,
Yep.
and then we'll do the closed.
Correct, yes. Okay. Any further discussion? We'll call the vote, then all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Next is Committee of the Whole closed meeting minutes. Do I have a mover to put those then on the floor, please? By Councillor Patterson, seconded by Councillor Woodbury. Any further discussion then on the closed minutes? Councillor Fosbrook?
I went to the portal last night and didn't see them, the minutes.
Doing a technical check here.
So perhaps like last time, we can just defer until we actually see them?
Heather says they're there.
Well, I went to the portal last night and it wasn't there.
So I did look, they are under the, today's meeting, under the county council section. And if you clicked on that link there, closed session documents, they are showing up there.
Okay, so if I went to the 24th, when the meeting took place, should I see the minutes there?
No, they will come to this meeting, so they show under this meeting, today's meeting.
So when you go back and look at minutes, you have to, like, you're not going to find it under the date that the meeting actually took place.
Correct. You will see those minutes on the date they are presented to council for adoption.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Any further discussion then on the closed minutes meeting? Call the vote, then all in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. And then the third adoption of the minutes is the Long-Term Care Committee of Management. Do I have a mover to put those on the floor? Councillor Burley, second by Councillor Eccles. Any further discussion then on those minutes? Seeing none, call the vote, then all in favor? Sorry, was there a question? I apologize if I missed a
Yes.
hand. Sorry, Councillor Fosbrook, you have a question on that?
So I raised a question recently about the interpretation of my notice of motion in relation to recording meetings. And I just want to bring the point forward again that if we were truly interested in being transparent and meetings are taking place in this building, I think it would serve everybody if those meetings were recorded. That said, I did see a note about French language services. So are we going to be expected to provide French language services in all our long-term care homes for the same price the province is now paying for our services?
If I may, our Director of Long-Term Care isn't with us today, and I would say that's not something that's ever been brought to my attention. I'm also not aware of any requests for French language services that we've not been able to meet. So normally, when people put their names forward to be part of the list for consideration in any given home, there's some discussion about the kinds of services that that particular potential resident might require. And I think if it was brought to our attention that someone was only comfortable in being provided service in French, and that was not a service that we were able to provide, I think that would be flagged so that we didn't, inadvertently end up with someone that we couldn't provide the best possible service to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will double check with Lynn when she's back, but it's not something that's ever been brought to my attention that.
It is under correspondence from the meeting, so thank you for that.
Okay, any further discussion then on those minutes? Call the vote, then all in favor? That's carried. Next, we move to Board of Health. I have a mover to put those on the floor, please, by Councillor Pringle. I have a seconder, Councillor McKean. Dr. Era, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So the Board of Health report includes minutes from the past two meetings, and the highlights of it are the 2017 audit report by BDO. The auditors have given a clear opinion, which indicates no issues. The 2017 budget was just over 13.6 million, 73% responded payroll, wages and benefits 14%, occupancy 9%, operation and 2% administration. The Alpha Fitness Break revealed 100% participation of the board's member, and it's an activity that Alpha runs every year, and our board was one of the 3 boards in the province that had 100% participation. Correspondences included 3 endorsed ones, the most significant of which is the oral health report from Windsor Essex County Board of Health recommendation. The report notes significant deterioration in community oral health in the 5 years since the discontinuation of municipal water fluoridation. Recommendation from the report included the Windsor reintroduced fluoridation in the water system, the county municipalities reinforced fluoridation in the water system, ongoing support for oral health education and awareness in the community. The other 2 that were endorsed were regarding mandatory food literacy curricula in school, and the other was youth exposure to smoking in movies. And both of them are related to the health of our community. The other correspondence that were received were related to Section 43 of the Criminal Code of Canada. The board had already endorsed in previous sessions, in the annual service plan and budget. The MOH report from the last meeting highlighted the Healthy Community Conference summary, and the Healthy Community Conference was basically creating partnership for well-being. The conference was seen as a next step in understanding and supporting Indigenous health equity locally. Additionally, the conference supports the fulfillment of the OPHS Foundation standards, Ontario Public Health Standards. health equity, and a full report evaluation of the conference will be available in the fall of 2018. A program report included two reports, naloxone and harm reduction. Review of harm reduction and naloxone training in 2017 revealed 36 education and training sessions were delivered, reaching over 380 participants. Harm reduction, overdose prevention, and naloxone training provided information about the current opioid crisis and overview of harm reduction principles. Naloxone kits and related training is available for free in public health, through public health. Role of the second report was role of neighbors in emergency management, and it's just part of the Grey Bruce Health Unit campaign to enhance our response in emergency situations. There were four news releases, the most important of which was to support opioid awareness as just a comprehensive approach to dealing with the crisis. The financial report, the 2018 ministry funding, presented a funding schedule showing the impact of 2% increase in the program funding that was announced last month or in May, early May. This brings the ministry funding up to a bit over 8 million. The county allocation increased by corresponding amount, and the ministry also announced 100% funding for the following: Radon Awareness Months, which was, to my delight to see, it's an important issue that we've been pushing forward. The Community Infrastructure Renewal Fund, the Community Infrastructure Renewal Fund for roof repair and for generator fuel upgrades, Healthy Smiles Ontario program, Needle Exchange program, and new purpose, Build Vaccine Refrigerator. All of them were funded 100%. Under other business, other business, the Director of Corporate Affairs was recruited, and many thanks to the HR in Grey County. Grant was instrumental in conducting a thorough recruitment campaign. The Corporate Director is Mr. Matthew McMurdy, and he will be starting June 18th. Regarding the building and roof updates, I'm pleased to announce that the roof is complete, and there's simple touches that will continue to happen, just part of the process over the coming year, just to ensure that everything is in place. Provincial election letter and resources. The board was shown Health in All Policy cover letter and resources that Grey Bruce Health Unit is sharing with provincial election candidates. The intent is to ensure candidates understand the health implications of policies and decisions that they make. And finally, draft of Alpha resolution for consideration included 5 resolutions related to sustainable funding for local public health in Ontario, public health support for a minimum wage that is living wage, public health roles in food affordability surveillance, extending the Ontario Pregnancy and Breastfeeding Nutrition Allowance to 24 months, a comprehensive approach to infection prevention and control, IPAC. And that brings it to the end of my summary, if there are any questions.
Thanks, Dr. Eyre. Any questions for that? That was a good detailed report on that. Actually, I just returned from the Alpha conference, and it was an interesting conference to have attended and hear kind of both sides from board members as well as all the medical officers of health across the province. So there was some good detailed discussion about marijuana, and yeah, it was very, very interesting, and I was honored to be able to receive the 2 awards for participation amongst board members as well as staff at that conference as well. So, any questions then? Councillor Fosbrook for Dr. Eyre.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So perhaps I'm not looking in the right place. I did note that the agenda for Board of Health on the 27th of April, the agenda was amended to include items which include the draft audit report. When I looked to the agenda to see the draft audit report, I didn't see it there. So where can I view the auditor's report?
The auditor's report is still a draft. I don't believe it was included in the package. If the need be, we could include it. It's just an interim draft. The result of it is, in general, meets expectations, above average health unit in Ontario. That's a verbal evaluation from the audit report, and that's a ministry report you're referring to.
So whose audit report is that? I'm
So
sorry?
there are two audits. There's one from the ministry and one from BDO.
I think if it's on the Greenbush Health Unit website.
And so this refers to GBHU draft audit report added to the agenda for April 27th. Which is that? Is that BDO or?
I would think that's, sorry, I am sure it is the ministry audit report. The BDO was in May. Because the April one I didn't attend, I was on vacation. The May I attended and I listened to the BDO.
So the draft audit report that's referred to on April 27th is not public information?
I know it's still in term. I can double check with the ministry if we can provide it. I don't see a problem providing it to the council, but it wasn't included as far as I know. I didn't see it in the minute as well.
Kim?
I think section 10.3 on page 27 notes that there was discussion and that recommendations will be incorporated into the response submitted to the auditors, who will then review and comment on any recommended edits before finalizing the report. So I think this is still very much a work in progress by what I read here, and will be brought forward at such time as all of those edits have been completed. Is that correct?
It is, it's interim report, it's not final, but again, I don't see a reason for the ministry to hold it back from sharing, and I can double check with them, and if the intent and to have a copy of it, I can.
Well, yeah, I think, Doctor, we'll have to check on that. Actually, I received a copy yesterday through Aaron on the revised document that we are to send back. The ministry had requested some date changes for us to complete some of those tasks. So we'll check with the ministry and see when that document can be released. I'm assuming when it's finalized, when both sides have agreed to all the dates, then we can release it at that point. Councillor Frostbrook?
So if I may, my interpretation is information is either public or not, it's open or closed. So if this is not public, then arguably it should have been a closed discussion, and if it wasn't a closed discussion, then whatever material was shared in that meeting should be public.
We'll have
And
to
if I'm
check.
incorrect in that interpretation, let me know. I'll look forward to the update from the doctor.
Okay, we'll check with the auditors, with the ministry auditors that presented it and see if that's a public document or not.
Okay?
If I may, Mr. Warden?
Yeah.
So the report at this point is medium security. The last update, as the chair announced, has come yesterday, and the dates were pushed to October, November, and December, which would give us plenty of time to implementation. Again, I will double check with the ministry if the medium security is within the norm to be sent to the council, and I'll be more than happy to share it.
Thank you.
Councillor Mackey?
Thanks, Mr. Warden. Thanks for the report. Just a question around the naloxone kits and the eligible police and fire departments and how that training is being rolled out. So have they been distributed to the OPP detachments, and is the health unit providing the training to the OPP and to the fire services?
So the ministry moved in November 2017 to announce that public health will provide training to the first responders. And we had already, in 2017, complete training to the police and fire services. The distribution will be through the health unit. Some police services and fire services requested, and it's in the process of distribution. I don't have the exact numbers of many services, but it is still in process. The education, though, it was completed before even the ministry made it a mandate for us.
So when it talks about eligible police and fire services, the eligibility
Correct. All of them are eligible, even the police services that operate on reserve. Usually that's, historically, it's different boundaries. The province would say it's a federation, the federation would say it's the province. However, this distribution and education is a blanket for all services.
Okay, any further discussion then on Board of Health? Call the vote, then all in favor? That's carried. So we only have one bylaw today. Do I have a mover to put it on the floor? Councillor McKean, and a seconder, Councillor Mackey, sorry. And it's regarding certain lands in the town of the Blue Mountains. Really, this goes back to construction then on 119 is what this revolves. So, any further discussion? It's, I think, pretty self-explanatory. Councillor McKean?
Yes, thank you, Chair Barfoot. And if I could have a question to Pat, I'm looking at the map, and, you know, we have recently discussed that there, you know, the consideration of the roundabout at 19 and 21, and I see that at that junction, there seems to be a bit of a, where we've got some land that we maybe hadn't realized before, and also a section just in front of Price's subdivision where I think we have some drainage concerns that we're working for. This is just a housekeeping matter, I understand, but will this in any way help with our discussions about that as far as land acquisition for those two projects?
Actually, I'll have to get back to you on that question, sir. I got to look into it a little bit more.
Good. Fair enough. Thank you.
Any further discussion then on the bylaw? Call the vote, then all in favor? Opposed of any? That's carried. Next, we are down to good news and celebrations. Councillor McKean.
We just had the AMCTO conference at the Blue Mountain Resort just wrapped up, and I was really pleased when I attended to see quite a few staff of Grey County and the municipalities in Grey County, and just thank everybody for participating. And I understand it was a great conference and well attended, so thank you.
I will echo that. I was over to the dinner as well on Tuesday night. It was really good entertainment. There was gymnastics, there's Circus Olay, and I challenged some members to be able to do those circus acts that were performed there. It was very interesting, and and to be honest, for those that have been at Blue in the I'll call it the tennis area. I'm not sure what the preferred name of that is, but it was full that night for the dinner. There was over 450 people in attendance, so it was full and a great meal. Councillor McKean?
Just to comment on the thought that maybe some council members would partake in some of those gymnastic feats. I think we'd likely use up all of our benefits for massage therapy after that was taking place, all in one or two people. So I think it was likely a good job we refrained from that.
Yeah, exactly. Other good news and celebrations. Councillor Hicks.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I believe that I've mentioned it before, but next Tuesday, June 19th, in the town of Hanover, there will be a meeting with respect to the upcoming cannabis legislation. So there'll be a cannabis information session. It's being hosted by the Hanover Library, but a lot of work has gone into it by the Grey Bruce drug strategy. In attendance will be a pharmacist, there will be law enforcement, and there will be drug counselors as well, answering questions from community members with respect to what can we expect with the impending legalization of cannabis. So it should be a very informative session, and members around the table are certainly welcome to attend. You'll have to pay $2. The library, that's what they do. They try to raise a little bit of funds for the library. So it's $2 to attend. It starts at 7 p.m. It will be at the Hanover Civic Center, and it will be in the Saugeen rooms. It'll run from 7 till 8:30. That's Tuesday, June 19th.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Hicks. Councillor Ardell.
Yes, thank you. So is this a traveling show? So you're having it in Hanover. Would we be able to get that instead of us reinventing the wheel and having to come over to the Blue Mountains?
So, Mr. Warden, the Grey Bruce Drug Strategy, that's exactly what they're hoping to do, is the first session will be run in Hanover. Hopefully, they'll have some lessons learned from that session, and the intention is that it would be repeated in other locations throughout Grey and Bruce counties.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other good news and celebrations? Councillor Fosberg?
So if I could have your indulgence, it's not good news, but I really would like to share it. We have a missing person in Southgate. Many people are aware. I would just encourage you, if you're so inclined, to either let me know, I can point you in the right direction. We would just like the information shared as broadly as possible.
Yeah, I heard
Thank
that
you,
on
sir.
the news this morning, so. Okay, so and now look for an adjournment to county council then. We have a move Councillor Wright, second by Councillor Ardell. All those in favor? That's carried.